welcome everyone to the Social Dig, the greatest underrated show on the World Wide Web. I am your host, Mr. Rob G, and as always, we're going to be digging into the topics that keep you talking and the talk that keeps you thinking. So come on in, kick your feet up, get an ice cold beverage, and get ready to join the conversation. Welcome to the late night call-in show. Once again, we get together and act the fool sometimes, but a lot of times we get into talking about topics. The number is posted in the chat if you want to call in and say something today, and also the StreamYard link so you can come and hop up on the stage and chat with your peers and get it in like we normally do. This is going to be a great show. I always feel that it's going to be a great show, and I'm really confident that that's going to be the case. Here's the number, 856-843-3444, or that's 856-THE-DIGG. So we use this for the Social Dig, and we also use this for Spaced Out Radio After Hours, where we just came from with another awesome show over there, man. I gotta say, the guest today was amazing. This was a solid weekend to go in the books for Spaced Out Radio, especially for After Hours. And we had a special guest appearance by the man, Dave Scott. He's usually in the forest somewhere, but he had the time to come through and hang out with us for a minute. And, it was a pretty awesome experience. Totally loved it. Let's go ahead and welcome in our chat and see who we have in the building tonight. Or maybe in the morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at in the world. All right, let's get to the top. Okay, Maggie. Oh, Derek Galloway. First in. Okay, I see you, Derek. I see you. Derek Galloway. Maggie M10, thanks for coming in. Area 51. Who might be in the back. I don't know. He might be backstage. Thanks for coming in. Black Dragon, thanks for coming. To Mothman, thank you for coming, sir. Magneticus Attractors might fall asleep. Yes, this is a late night call-in show, so I wouldn't blame you if you did fall asleep. It's pretty late for us here in the United States. However, if you find yourself up, come join the conversation. Nikki, Angels Are Life, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Deb from Sacramento, California, thanks for coming in tonight. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, we got Jay Burke. Y'all crazy. Yeah. Crazy like a fox. We just in here getting some enlightenment, man, and having some after hours talk, man. Sometimes the conversation has to continue to go on, and it'll happen here until we just stop talking. So tonight we'll play it by ear, because obviously sleep is key, right? So we gotta get it. Jessica S., thank you for coming. Let's see. Let's make sure we got him. We got him. Brown Dwarf. Rob G's VIP party. The after party, right? After party. You go to the club. The club let out at 2 in most places. Usually looking for the next spot, right? Sometimes it's Denny's. Sometimes it's the friend's house. But this is, think of this as that. That's what this is tonight. This is what we're doing here. Let's see. Susan Alloway, thank you for coming in to this late night call-in session. And okay, I think we got them. Let's see, I'm almost down. Okay. Yep. Okay. Neil Warden. Me act the fool? Impossible. LOL, right? We heard you last night, Neil. We heard you last night. We listened to the whole shebang bang. Talking about succubuses. 10 TV, new sub. Appreciate you. Man, we love it. Welcome to the show. And just so if you don't know, before this, we do Spaced Out Radio after hours. So great show over there. And then we move it over here right afterwards every Saturday and Sunday. And just talk some real talk sometimes. We talk about various things. So we'll see where this goes tonight. And you're more than welcome to join the stage, 10 TV. The link is at the top of the chat, just so you know. It's pinned. You can call in or you can hop on stage and speak your mind. Jay Berg, just in case I didn't say it, Jay Berg is in the building. Okay, great. Looks like we're all caught up. I want to thank everybody for coming in. I'll go ahead and bring in the first man, race fans first in the chat. Area 51 is first to the stage, like always. What's going on, Juan? How you doing?
How's it going? Can you guys hear me? Hopefully you guys can.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
No, definitely. Oh man,
right.
What a great show tonight.
Man, can you believe it? A lot of the stuff that
goodness.
we saw.
I had my hair standing up on my arm and in my back. Like, I don't have back hair, but you know.
Yeah. Hey, Maggie said you have on stage. You're number one. I like that.
I like that. Maggie.
I like that.
Oh, Maggie 10, shout out.
Maggie 10, shout out.
Shout out.
Good looking, Brown Dwarf. Appreciate you.
You and Nicole kill it, man.
Yeah, we try, man. We try to put on a great show.
You really do murder. I was like, And then seeing all the Bob Lazar pictures, that's how I got into UFOs, is Bob Lazar. So, like, seeing that topic today, I was like, okay, we're in for something today. And then I'm just excited for that documentary to come out.
Dude.
Right? 100%.
I first ran in across Luigi, and it just because we talked Jim Goodall, talked to him on Spaced Out Radio about a month ago, and he was hinting Bob Lazar is having this thing going. You guys might want to pay attention, keep a lookout. But Jim knew the whole time about this, and he was giving us nuggets. And then when I ran across this Luigi Venditelli character. Mm-hmm. And then I saw what he was doing. I was like, oh, this is what Jim was talking about, and was just blown away. I was like, okay, he had only done one appearance to promote this movie or this documentary. And I was like, man, it would be so lovely if we could get him next. And I reached out, talked to him, and man, he was more than willing. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be good for the Spaced Out Radio fam. They are going to love this guy. Because, like you said, Bob Lazar is how a lot of people first got into UFOs, and it all started with Bob. Yeah. So we have a dear friend joining the stage here.
Let them talk first.
I wonder who it is. Do you know?
I don't know who it is. Is it Susie B?
It's not Susie B.
Is it Brown Dwarf? I mean, you get him up here.
I know. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. None other than Deb from Sacramento.
Oh, yes. I love Deb. I love her.
Yeah, we all do. How you doing, Deb?
Hi, you guys.
Hey.
Doing good. Happy Sunday night.
Happy Sunday night. Happy Sunday night. Oh, I know you.
Yep. You guys ready for the week ahead?
Yeah. I'm actually filling in for Dave on Tuesday. So I got to come up with, I already have put together some little Halloween thing. Well, I'll just say some treats. Not any tricks, but I have some treats. So we'll see what happens.
Are you going to dress up for us, Rob? Okay, you don't have to disclose that.
It should be fun. I'll say that it should be fun. I laughed when I thought about it. I was like, maybe they'll enjoy this. They'll get a kick out of this. So only time will tell. We'll see.
I'm betting it'll be fun. Hey, I hope we have some you're a creative guy, so I'm anticipating a fun time. I hope you're planning some Halloween trivia because that's really fun.
Yeah. We did. We dabbled in it yesterday. But yeah. Well, it's kind of. I see. The thing is, with Dave's show, he has the people scheduled already. So I think who normally shows up in that third hour? I think it's Robin or it's Duke. Is it Duke? It's somebody on Tuesday that I can't think of. I think it's either Duke or Robin. So I don't know if they're gonna be there. If they're not gonna be there, then yeah, then that hour is mine to do whatever
Well,
I
if either one of them are there, they need to dress up like Bigfoot. It's Halloween, right?
want. Hopefully. I mean, man, hopefully I'm not the only one looking like a fool in front of the camera. So yeah, hopefully we'll see.
Yeah.
Can you
Should be
I'm
fun.
imagine?
dressing up as a penguin on Halloween. So
That'd be funny.
you guys can always beat me. I'm just dressing up as the penguin.
And see what I like about, and it was weird
Yeah.
about this holiday is
Oh,
that it's fun, and then we get up to Halloween. Maybe you do something, maybe you don't, and then that very next day is business as usual. Now it's Thanksgiving, so we put up all the stuff, and it's like that transition is instantaneous that next day. Like it's just over, it's behind us, and now we move on. I don't know if we just do that here in America or what, but Anonymous Rex, Tim Senor, thanks for coming in. Thank you, sir, for joining us. And Tim, the link is up top at the top of the chat. You could always, it's up to you. You don't have to show video. You can just do audio, or you can just hang out in the chat. Either way, no pressure, no pressure. And Crystal J, thanks for coming and joining us too. And Monica, thanks for coming and joining us too. Yeah, definitely. Fall asleep to the late night chat. I like the sound of that because it is a call-in show, and maybe a lot of people are in bed laying down as they listen to these stories. Rob G. Mike as well. I don't like that. Okay, is G. Mike better, Derek Galloway? Your mic is non-existent, Derek Galloway. Thought I'd just burn you like that. Your mic is not even existent, but is this better for you, Mr. Derek Galloway? Yes? Okay, great. Yeah, so what do you guys got going on? What are we doing? What's hot? What's not?
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. I'm going to
Yeah,
go
all
around.
that.
Well, we've got a major Halloween house that does it up every year in our neighborhood. So tomorrow night after the show, because they leave the lights on all night, I'm going to go and get some really good video, good shots of it. And for anyone that follows me over on Twitter, I'm going to be posting the pictures. You guys can check it out on Halloween. It's always the best house in the area. I think even the news crew comes out and covers it. So I'm going to get some good shots and post them up for you guys to see. But we always do trick or treaters here. We have them in and we decorate the yard, and nothing like the big one I'm going to tape, but it's fun, and I'll throw something on if I have something laying around. We pass out candy, and then by the time a lot of them are gone by 9:00, so I'll be able to probably jump in I can't jump in over on Dave's show, but I'll be there. Let's just say I'll be there in spirit if I'm there.
Yeah, always thinking about you, Deb, just so you know, okay? Always,
I
all right?
appreciate it.
And
I'm hoping that things will be sorted out soon.
Yes, I am as well. I would love for
but
that to
that's,
be the case.
we'll see how the universe pans out, as far as fairness and justice having its day. And I believe it will. I believe it will. So
positive vibes, good thoughts.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, when you have the truth on
it.
your side, you can't go wrong.
Exactly, I agree with you,
Yep.
Deb. I'm totally. Hey, so what I saw, I agree, man. There's nothing else I can say about that. So hey,
Yeah. But for Halloween, we always do it up around here and do the candy. And there's a house over on the next court that is really fun that I'm going to go try to get some video of too. They do a chainsaw massacre theme, and they come out and scare the kids, and and scare the adults too. It's really fun. So You know,
I'm thinking if I want to, well, I'll be on the show. I won't be able to do that, will I? No, I won't even have I wanted to scare some kids, but yeah, I'll be doing the show. So, there's that. But
working on Halloween sucks.
yeah, it does. It does. But I'm not really. I don't know. I'm not really the. I will hand out candy, but I'm not really. I rather let someone else do that while I'm hiding around the corner or something, and just trying to do some evil stuff. So that's that's usually where my head is
I
at
hear
on
you.
Halloween. But
Yeah,
I
it's
wish I could go
fun.
to somewhere. I wish I could go to a haunted house or something this year. I mean, maybe I'll find something and go Monday. Maybe I don't know. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, yeah. If you tune in Tuesday, I promise I'm gonna fit it in. Period. So even if Duke shows up, I'm gonna fit it in, and it's something that would be pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Well, I have it on good authority that I do have a Halloween clone out there somewhere. So my Halloween clone may make an appearance at some point.
Oh, okay. David Devine broadcasted rather. Good late night. That's I like that greeting. Same to you, Dave, and I will be on David Devine broadcasted on Tuesday, right before Spaced Out Radio. So I'll be a guest on this show. Then I'll turn around, take a hour rest, and then hop on Spaced Out Radio. So I'll be seeing you, Dave. If anybody has subscribed to David Devine Broadcast, go check him out, man. The guy is totally awesome, great guy. And yeah, man, just got much love for David Devine. So shout out to DDB. All right. Yeah,
Cool.
so haunted houses though. I would love to find one. You know what I really wanted to do, but it's probably too late. Is go to one of those the pumpkin patches with the cornfield maze.
Yes, those are so
Ah,
fun.
yeah, definitely. I want to just get lost in the cornfield maze and just do stuff like that. But every time I get around to every year, I say I want to do it, and then by the time I really try to sit down and get it together, it's too late. So,
Yeah, those are really
story of my
fun.
life.
Well, I have a story. It's kind of a naughty story, but I learned a lesson one year when I did this, and this was back when I was very deep into my church group, right? And we didn't always celebrate Halloween. We'd have, fall festival parties, but people would still dress up, and it would still be a Halloween party. They just put a different label on it. So it was really stupid. Well, one year they didn't have a party planned, and there was this guy who was new in our group, and he was gorgeous. He was a model, and I won't say his name or anything, but and he's like, "Well, come out with me. Let's go cruising." I go, "And do what?" And he goes, "Well, he lived on East Side San Jose, and there was this place, Rob. You're familiar with San Jose, right?
Definitely.
Okay. Do you remember the East Side up by Allen Park and the Oliveira Egg Ranch?
Oh no, East Side San Jose.
Yeah, over on the east side, the foothills. Anyway, there was a place over there called Oliveira Egg Ranch, and it was by Nick's house. He goes, "We're going to go on a little mission tonight." I go, "Well, what are we doing?" He goes, "You'll see." So we were in his van. We drive up to the hills, and I'm thinking, what have I gotten myself into here? you know,
Right.
you always seem really nice at church, but then you go out and it's like, what's about to happen here? And he drives up to the back of the egg ranch. He goes, "Stay here. I'll be right back." And he goes and he brings in two big crates of eggs that he stole and he put them in the van. I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "It's okay. They left them for me to pick up." I'm like, "What?" And then I realized when he went tearing out of there that he stole them. I'm like, "Oh my God." I go, "We can't." He goes, "No, these are for tossing eggs." I go, "We're
Wow.
going to throw eggs?" He goes, "Yeah, but we got to make one more stop." And then he stops at a pumpkin patch. And it was abandoned. It was full of old pumpkins. And he goes, "Here, we have to get a few of these." I go, "I'm not getting out and stealing pumpkins." He goes, "Well, wait here." And he went and he took like 4 pumpkins out of the patch. But they were kind of small ones that he could, hold in his hand. And so we're driving around and he goes, just throw an egg. He goes, it's liberating. It'll be fun. He goes, I'm not going to throw them at cars or anything. He goes, haven't you ever thrown an egg on Halloween before? I go, no. And he goes, just throw them at like a stop sign or something. So we're driving down the street and, I take one, and I toss it at a stop sign. Rob, have you ever thrown eggs from a car?
No.
Okay. They have a traveling natural gravity to them, and they just fly effortlessly through the air, and they just smack really hard on whatever you're aiming at.
Oh, nice.
And so I did hit a couple stop signs, and I was kind of having fun. He goes, see, these things are just natural, air bombs. They're meant to be thrown. He's trying to talk me into feeling good about what I'm doing. And the whole time I'm feeling guilty, but I'm having fun too, right? And so we're throwing these eggs, and he goes, okay. He goes, well, now that I got you warmed up, he goes, let's take you up let's take it up a peg. I go, what are we doing? He says, well, we're going to go over to a few neighborhoods. And I go, I'm not going to egg any houses. He goes, no, this is a whole different level. You're going to love it. He goes down this side street to this really nice neighborhood. And I still have nightmares about this. He drives by this one house and he goes, oh, this is perfect. There's all these parked cars right there on the street and there's no one around. He rolls down his window. He takes one of the pumpkins and he throws it and he puts it right through someone's windshield. Whoa. And keeps driving. And I was like, oh my God. And I freaked out. I said, I can't believe. And he starts laughing and cackling, And I'm like, this guy's insane. He's demon possessed, I swear. And I said, take me home right now. And thank God this neighborhood wasn't very far from where I lived. He goes, no, we're just starting to have fun. I said, I'm not having fun. You just broke the law. I can't believe you just put that through their windshield. I said, take me home right now. He goes, well, I go, or I'll open the door and I'll just jump out in the street. I was freaking out. All right, hold on. I go, pull over. He goes, well, I don't want to take him. I go, pull over. I start screaming. He goes, all right. He pulled over. I jumped out of the van. I go on. I said, I'm not with you. And it was right by a Walgreens. So I went running into Walgreens for protection. And this was back before cell phones. Okay. I was like in my 20s. And so I ran into Walgreens and he took off. I go, I'm not getting back in your van. Forget it. I called my sister. She came and got me. And I was freaked out. I'm like, I can't believe he did that. So before I left, this house that he put the pumpkin through the guy's windshield was right across the street from the Walgreens. And so I made sure to go over and I took down their address and everything. And then I sat on it for a few days. I'm like, what am I going to do about this? And I thought, I don't want to report him to the cops. And I told him, I'm never doing anything with you again. I can't believe you did this. And I was so close to telling his parents. But I thought, you know what? Karma's a bitch. He'll get his someday. And so I waited a few days and I waited until payday and I got a full check. And at the time I was working for the county of Santa Clara, so I got pretty sizable checks. And I went over to the house and my sister went with me and I rang their doorbell. And I said, on Halloween night, a friend of mine put a pumpkin through your windshield out there. And they're like, yes. And I said, they go, it was covered by our insurance. Fortunately, I said, well, he's not a friend anymore, but I was with him and I just want to offer money to pay for it. And they're like, well, you weren't involved. I said, no, but I was with him and I had no idea he was going to do that. So I was so terrified, but I still did it. And they thanked me for coming and telling them. I wouldn't give him his name or anything, though. And I said, well, here's $500. They said, that should more than cover it. And they said, our insurance is paying for most of it, but that's more than enough. Thank you. And I just got that off my conscience and I felt so much better. And the lesson learned was, even if someone, you start out thinking, oh, it's innocent fun and we're just going to throw eggs at stop signs. If it's something that within your core you just don't feel right about doing, don't do it. And it doesn't matter how fine and great looking the guy was and you want to be with him, don't do it, because the devil has a flowering face sometimes, And it was a horrible experience, but, I learned a couple different lessons from it. But that was my Halloween nightmare. I'll never forget that year and that happening. And it was on Halloween night that we went and did that. And I've never forgotten it.
Wow. Those are tricks, the tricks of the night. Yeah. So wow. Definitely Sack is the GOAT for that. Yeah. I mean, Also an accessory to a crime as well, but
Yeah.
you did you did
Yeah.
take care of that, and just like you said, it was worth doing that to get it off your conscience. So
Oh, I had
that's
to.
that's what I love right there. I mean that's the moral of the story is if you got something on your conscience, get it off. Do the right thing. Do the right thing.
Never
I
hurts
can't
to do the
believe
right thing, that's for sure.
I
But
can't
it's
believe a
amazing
pumpkin
because you
went through
think
his
you,
window.
huh?
I can't believe a pumpkin made it through a windshield,
Oh,
but
he
I guess
threw it
that was
super
back
hard,
then.
and he was a
Okay.
tall, strong guy too, so there was some muscle behind it. But
Jeez.
you think you know people. You think, oh, he goes to church with me, and he's a good guy, and they put on the best act, and then you see them acting like a crazy person, and that was the terror for me. I was like, what am I in the car with here?
Yeah, you
You
said
know?
possessed. That sounds probably about right. Exactly.
I mean, and he's cackling like he's possessed. He's laughing so hard, and he thought it was so funny. And I'm just thinking, this is a guy who plays in a Christian band. He's up there
Oh,
singing. He
wow.
puts on the whole act, the whole bit. I mean, I thought I got the cream of the crop, and he was
Oh.
just totally the opposite. So don't be fooled by people, because there's a lot of phonies out there. And the biggest group of hypocrites I've ever found in my life were unfortunately in my church. And that's why I,
Yeah.
stopped going to organized churches when I was like 23 years old. I quit and I never went back to an organized church. Doesn't mean I don't go once in a while for, a candlelight service or something around Christmas if I want to. But, you think that you find all these, great people there, and not to say there aren't good people there, but there's bad apples everywhere.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, I learned a lot from going there, though, you know.
You're speaking truth tonight, Deb from SAC. Those are facts right there. And I don't really attend any structured. I just believe in a higher state. There's a higher state.
Yep.
Something that created us all, and that, if you think about that, that covers every religion out there. Truthfully,
Hmm.
and I think that's one of the most important parts to take away from every religion. Really, is that something created you. There's something bigger than you.
Absolutely. Well, and that's why I never elevate anyone. I never put anyone on a pedestal. It taught me to take my focus off of men because men will fail you every time. I don't care if it's your pastor or who it is. We're all imperfect. We all sin. We all make mistakes. We all are on this journey together, and we need to learn to do the right thing and learn how to properly love each other as humans. And, and that's what Jesus taught. And I follow Jesus's principles as far as Christ consciousness and just trying to follow the golden rule, and throwing eggs at stop signs isn't following the golden rule.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, man, like you said, innocent fun turned into a $500. Just, just, just not even that. Just not even the dollar amount. Just causing problems
Yeah.
for someone else.
Bluetooth off.
And that's sad.
Bluetooth disconnected.
But yeah, Deb's coming with the fire today, man. I love that. I love that. That's a great lesson to teach, and just good words for people to follow. Truthfully. Yeah, lovely. I love it. So let me see. What do I got for Deb? Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Deb from SAC. Oh, extended ovation. Okay, yeah, that's what we need. That's what we need. So yeah, so that's what we. So what did you get a chance to see the guest today?
Did
Are
I?
you familiar? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
You
he's
know,
doing the Bob Lazar movie,
yeah, I can't wait to see it.
right? Like,
I
you
thought the
know,
recreation was fantastic. All the pictures he was showing and the recreation in the film and all the things they're going to be putting in there. And I've always found Bob Lazar to be rather credible. I'm not all in, but last time I really watched a long interview was his interview with Joe Rogan. And I thought it was excellent. And I remember Lazar when he first came out in '89, seeing him on Larry King. And I was like, whoa,
Wow.
this was just blowing up all over the place. The world was turned upside down. And even back then, I found him to be credible.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and Jim Goodall, good friend Jim Goodall says for sure, like, man, Bob Lazar, like I knew him before that, and this is a genuine guy, and he's definitely telling the truth. And I mean, you would have to just, and my question has always been like, what would he lie for? Like, what
Yeah,
would he
what
lie
would he
about
have to
that for?
gain?
Yeah, there's just, I don't think anyone's been able to answer that. And they do like when it comes to debunking, they like to lean on his his past and the fact that he didn't go to MIT like he said, or he didn't attend these places. But I think that's just trivial stuff, man. I mean, people lie about, sometimes people lie. I mean, okay, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't see, the ET story just checks out, the craft story checks out too well. And I'm just excited to be able, because we've heard it verbally so many times in so many different forms, but we're going to be able to see it. And then Bob Lazar, like he said, he's going to be green screen into the film, into the documentary, and showing you around S4 as he remembers it, through the security checkpoints, around the craft, and taking you inside, showing you what he was working on. So when I saw Luigi showing this off, I think he was showing it on Dolan's show, and I was like, man, we got to have that guy. I reached out to him, and he was kind enough to say, yeah, 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 let's do it. And I think we were like the second appearance for him. So we'll get back with him again once the movie comes out. I'm getting sick. Whew.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
so,
he was a great guest. He was very generous with the information, and he was a good interview, I thought. He kept it flowing and moving along, and he was able to
exactly.
answer all your questions from what I could tell.
Exactly. And he blew my mind because I'm bringing him on for this. And then he drops the bombs about, oh, yeah, I was, had a hand in, Randall Nicholson filming Aerial School. And I was with this lady and we were best friends. And also, research abductions. I had no clue about that stuff. So when he dropped those bombs, I'm like, oh, lovely. Okay. And I was going to ask him some general stuff about if he had dabbled into any of that, but he just opened up and unleashed a whole lot of stuff. So, yeah, he's a
Hmm.
great, great, great guest, and he seemed like a good dude. And it was so good that Dave even decided to come up on stage. I was like, Dave, on the weekend, when does that happen? When does He was like, Rob, can I come in? I'm like, can you come in? What do you mean? Like, dude, open the door and come on in. What are you saying? So yeah,
Hmm.
I guess they're both Canadians, so uh, that kind of worked out well.
That
But yeah,
Canadian bond. Well, it's
exactly,
interesting because with Bob Lazar's story, I find that, whether he went to MIT or not, what I find is that a lot of skeptics and people who just want to, bag on him, they tend to cherry pick facts. They focus on, the MIT, or that supposedly there was, a prostitution ring, or his ex-wife, all these different rumors. And it's like, why? So they want to pivot to that stuff and focus on that rather than the stuff that he has shown, which is all the information about the craft that he worked on and the real facts. They don't focus on that really strong evidence. They focus on the other stuff that doesn't matter, and it's not relevant to the story and what he's really trying to expose and share. And when people cherry pick like that, and they think they're poking holes in their story. I mean, who doesn't lie from time to time on their resume to get a better job?
exactly,
I
exactly.
mean, come on, let's be real.
And especially
So,
back then, because computers weren't prevalent, and you couldn't just hop into a database and check this person's history. You had to send off on the information, or fax, or make some calls, or it wasn't as easy to verify. And yeah, you could just say you worked somewhere, or you went here, and some people would just take it and run with
mhm.
it. So it was a normal thing. It wasn't, so why point this guy out for that? And then as he was talking, the guest tonight, one thing I really didn't think about was when he brought up the fact, like, this was when I talked to Bob. He basically says that this was just, he was only there for a short period of time. This was not, and I was like, that's true. Like, if we put together a Bob Lazar biopic, this ET experience or the craft experience would only be 30 seconds of the film. If you think about it, like, he was only there, according to Doty, what Doty said, about 96 days. It's just a very short period of time. So there wouldn't even be a lot to dig into there, if you were looking at his life in retrospect. So I'm sure him knowing that, him living that it seems kind of weird to him that, he understands the importance of it, but, to everybody's focusing on this 3-month period of my life, and I've done all these other things, and they're just focusing on this little narrow window in time. So I know that's got to be frustrating sometimes, because there's more. There's more to Bob Lazar. Fun stuff, I'm sure, cool stuff, a lot more stuff to talk about.
Oh, for sure. I used to love, during his interview with Rogan, I love it when he was talking about how, can you imagine, him getting you and taking you up to the top of, I forget what it was called, but where they could actually see the craft taking off at night. And he took friends up there. And then when they realized he was doing that, that's when they, busted him for it. But can you imagine, having him call you and go, hey, you want to see something? Going up there and actually seeing that stuff?
Yeah.
How exciting would that be?
Exactly. And I forget the name of that, because I know it's Tickaboo Peak.
That's it.
Tickaboo Peak? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been out there. I haven't gone up. There's still a place, I don't know, and it could still be Tickaboo Peak, because they had one ridge that was closer where you could really just look down and see, and then they annexed the land and pushed everybody back like so many miles. So now I think the closest Tickaboo Peak is like 20 miles, but you can right over the forward ridge, you can get a good little view there, and if you have high powered cameras, then you can actually see the base. But it's the last place you can see it from. There was a guy named Glenn Campbell. Are you familiar with him?
Glenn Campbell?
Yeah, not the
not the singer, obviously. I'm not aware of another Glenn Campbell. Who is he?
Yeah, he was a guy that frequented Area 51 in Tickaboo Peak. Like, he's in that whole circle of spotters, or the guys that would go up there and monitor the activities at Area 51. But he had been all around that area, all the test areas, and he ended up passing away, I think, within the last 3-4 years of cancer. And everybody was speculating if it was because he was going to these places, like where it's been known that they've tested nuclear, had nuclear tests and things, because all out there in the Nevada desert, there's all sorts of places where they did that. And he spent so much time out there. Literally, that was his life. And they were wondering, like, did they do that? Did they intentionally expose him to something, or was he just going, too frequently to these places where they had done these previous tests? So that's been up in the air, but that's the latest conspiracy. But this guy was on top of it. He wouldn't let them breathe. He was up there on Tickaboo Peak like all the time, daily. He actually took up the world's he took up some guys from a certain network. It might have been like National Geographic or somebody like that, and they took up this really expensive camera, huge camera, that let them pretty much zoom right in on Area 51, and it ended up being like the clearest images ever taken of Area 51, and they got that from like 20 miles away. So he was doing this all the time. He was always, I'm sure, a thorn in their side. and there's always been just speculation like, did they do something to him? I would, if you ever are on YouTube looking for something to look out, look up Glenn Campbell. You'll be shocked when you really get into seeing who he was. There's so many things that he did, and how he played a pretty big part in exposing the things that they were doing over there at Area 51. So he was a
Hmm.
really good
Well, if
guy.
that's what he was doing, then they probably did do something to him, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because he was healthy as ever, and he'd been doing this for so long, and then all of a sudden, just one day, he was on YouTube all the. He had a channel posting all the time, and then all of a sudden, he was sick and just pretty much passed away. Right after that, wasn't a long period. He just pretty much got sick, and next thing you know, he was gone. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I call that they forestalled him. Remember
Yeah,
forestall? They forestalled him. That's my
yeah,
expression for it. I mean, there's so many corrupt people keeping secrets, and it's just disgusting. And
yeah.
people that come out and try to do something good, and they just got to shut them down. It's disgusting.
When you talk about Grush, right? So Grush talks about that they've even harmed, just humans, and you think of the ways that they do that, and maybe they put some radio, active isotopes in something that you're eating, or just expose you in some kind of way, and that's kind of like how people feel about how that all went down, because they had to shut him up because he was just on fire, and he wouldn't stay from up there. So think of this: if they're doing testing there, he's up there like every day on top of that mountain, so they can't do anything as long as he's there. And so I think that was kind of the dynamic and why people feel like that they may have definitely had something to do with that. So
hmm
sad, but we can't put it over on our government, unfortunately, because we know they've done that and worse, proven done that and worse, with experimenting and just all sorts of weird things like that. And Timothman, just this is for you, Deb. Timothman says, "I fucking love Deb. She's a true truther."
Oh, I'm a truther, all right. I speak the truth. I'm not shy about saying what I feel. Well, and the thing, since you mentioned Grush, um, I saw from the, very first when he came out and he testified before Congress. My opinion of Grush so far is that he believes everything that he's telling Congress. He believes it. Whether he's seen it firsthand or whether it's information that he's been told, he believes excuse me, he believes what he's talking about. You can be sworn under oath and be cleared by the Department of Defense and get up there and testify and tell your truth, and it's your truth. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the truth. And so I look at it with a skeptical eye. I'm still waiting to see, what all comes out, because when he was asked specific questions, then it comes, down to, well, that was something, that's classified. And, I found that out, in a skiff type environment, and I can't talk about that. Well, if you've been cleared by the Department of Defense and you're going before Congress, that means you're supposed to be cleared to talk about everything. And so then to default back to the skiff excuse, um, I'm a little apprehensive about believing him on that. And now supposedly, they're going to let the information, that I think Dave was talking last week about. What was it, Rob? About now the skiff information is going to be able to be released. Wasn't that it?
It was, and the Doty kind of elaborated too on this, is that apparently they're putting something, if I understand this correctly, they're putting something in the Schumer amendment that pretty much is going to block the Senate or Congress from having access to the programs. I guess they're going to have to go through the DOD or submit some sort of paper to them to be approved to have access And then, people feel because of that, if that's going to be the case, that they're not ever going to get the access, or they're going to have to jump through so many
Oh,
hoops before they can. Yeah. So, and
oh,
then
I misunderstood it. I thought it was the opposite. I thought
that's
they
what,
were going to actually release that information that
no,
was, found out,
they're
that
trying to
he
shut
reviewed
it
in a
down.
skiff.
Yeah, they're trying to
Yeah.
shut it
Well,
down. They're trying to, like, the power that the Senate and Congress have right now, and the way they're kind of pushing the line and trying to force them into doing things. They don't like that, so they're trying to find a way where they can't just directly make them do that. And unfortunately, we knew that was coming, or we knew something of that in the line of that was coming, because they are not going to release the truth. I mean, we know that. So any way they can put a roadblock up, they're going to do it. And that was one right there. And so I was questioning, and I'm like, well, okay, if that's the case, then, is the whistleblower amendment even going to be effective then? Like, what? So it's just a mess right now, and it's unclear on how that's going to tie into it, because they still have, there's changes that could be made to the it hasn't been signed off on yet, and so we won't really even be able to look at it and see, let the dust settle till like January, February of next year. But we know where it's going. They're not going to do it. There's no way that anything, they're not going to set anything up where we have a clear path to go see these special projects, or they're not going to do it. So, and, oh, they were
yeah.
taking out also, thinking about taking out the eminent domain piece, I guess, where the eminent domain is stating that they could, Congress or the government can take eminent domain of anything that anyone's working on that's not from this planet. So they're going to take, which would allow them to kind of go into the contractors and just confiscate stuff. So apparently they're
Oh,
taking that out as well. Yeah. For the
oh,
eminent domain. But I was worried about eminent domain anyways, because yeah, that's great for that side if they want to confiscate something from the contractor and just take ownership of it immediately. But that also would mean that they could do that to an average person too. So if you came across something that might not be from some little artifact or something that ended up not being from this world, then if they had eminent domain, they could just come take that from you. And
oh, it reminds me of what they did to Nikola Tesla.
exactly,
It's the
exactly,
same. It's the same principle. So, it's all
exactly.
about them having the power and controlling everything, and never disclosing to the minions because they want all the power. And it's unfortunate. It'd be nice if the world could, actually, I need not to go down that road. We all know what we want. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want
Yeah,
a healthy, peaceful world with people taken care of everywhere, and to be in harmony on this planet. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And I do believe someday we'll achieve it. I still do believe it. We all just have to not give up and keep pushing and keep, moving forward towards the truth and what we can make them disclose. And most of it probably won't come out in our lifetimes, but it will in one of our lifetimes, because I believe in reincarnation. So that's why we can't give up, because at some point in one of these lives, if you believe in reincarnation, your soul will get to live through it and experience all the benefits of what we've all worked for in this lifetime.
definitely. And here's the
You know?
problem. Here's the big problem. And I hope it gets to this point one day. But when you, and this is why whenever, because not wanting to be controlled, or have some authority figure over you, it's a natural feeling, and it shouldn't be that way anyways. But the problem I have is that the moment you get to talking about, hey, we could probably handle this on our own, we don't really need these governments over us, then guess what happens? They label you extremists and things of that nature. They try to put those labels on you when it's not really that. It's just, we just want to be humans. We just want to live a regular life without, groups or governments or things controlling and standing over us. Like, is that so wrong to feel like that? But because it's different than, it goes against what society is supposed to be. So they put labels on it and make it like extremism, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fact that we all question authority makes us conspiracy theorists, right?
Right. Like anti-government,
I
and it's
mean,
like not really anti.
you
And
know,
that's why I always
it's
say
part of the
that.
control system.
That's why I make a point to say that, because I would hate. I like to speak the truth, and I like to speak the real, and I don't want to be labeled as anything. I don't want it to, I want to preface everything I say with, doesn't mean that I'm anti this or that I'm anti that. So don't try to put me in a box like that when all I'm doing is I'm just speaking like this is normal stuff. Yeah, it's different than what you have written up for society to be, but there was a time when this system that you created didn't even exist, when we were just doing those normal things and just living life. We were doing that at one point in time. So why is it such a bad thing to talk about that or want to go back to a time when maybe things were, like that? And it's just,
Well, I mean, these control systems have been in place for thousands of years.
yeah.
You know? I mean, can you imagine? Can you even think back in history when it wasn't there, when someone wasn't controlling other
Right.
people? Can you think of an era? Because I can't.
Right. I mean, and there was always, I mean, usually, and even today, truthfully, if you live under the radar and you can in some places live under the radar, and the government is really just uh you know more engaged with going at it with other countries or doing it. They're not actively searching for you to oppress you or suppress you. But then there's some countries that do that. So I think on some level, you can have that over you, but it's just like, okay, that's over there. The government is doing things over there, okay, but I'm able to just kind of do what I want to do. If I want to go sit in the woods and just live there, I'm able to do that. Some countries you can do that and get away with it. But
Mm-hmm.
like here in America, they just like you can't do anything. You can't, if you go in the woods too long, they come and find you and fine you and tell you that you can't be here this long, or you know what I mean. It's just
Yeah.
it
Yeah. The
just it's
BLM, they've got all those laws in place where you can't even stay in the park late at night. Everything's against the law these days. And again, it's part of that control system. We're not really, I hate to say that we're not really free, but we're not really free. We may have
yeah,
freedoms, but we're not really free when it comes to, the freedoms that we used to have
yeah,
in our lifetime growing up now. A lot of our freedoms and privileges have been taken away slowly and systematically. They have been,
like
especially since 9/11. So,
right,
you
and
know,
oh yeah, and yeah. I mean, you it shouldn't. I mean, come on, you get charged for water, like you get charged for the natural thing that keeps all of us alive. You have to pay for that, like. That's just, it blows my mind that you have to do that. And you can't grow anything if in some places they let you do it, but in some places they don't. They say you can't do it. And it's like, okay, well, what if that's how I eat? You know what I mean? So now you're telling me I can't just survive? Is that pretty much? So this system of society that you've created is kind of choking me out of being just a naturalist. I don't even know what those type of people are called. I'll just call them that. But the people that just want to live off the land and kind
right
of
off the grid, off the land. Exactly. We're
just
not
do
allowed
that
to.
thing. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
weird. It's just
I know.
it
I
just
know. Well,
but
like I said, it's happened over the last 3 decades. It's happened systematically, little by little by little, and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and it's like you can't even grow food in your own yard. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I wonder. See,
orchestra.
on obviously ETs have ascended past that, and it doesn't happen like that. I would hope on other planets. And the only thing that you know I could look at and say, okay, well, it makes sense because of that is just the fact that you can get to a point of overpopulation, and then there's just not enough room to maybe set up a shack here or set up, to do this. So I when it comes to that part, I can understand, but I don't know how you would, what do you do when you run out of space? I don't know.
I
I
don't
have no
believe we're
clue.
overpopulated at all. I think that whole thing is a fallacy. But that's another conversation for another day. But
Yeah.
Rob, you know what? My battery is about to go down here, so I've got to exit out
Okay.
here and let someone else
Yeah.
take the stage.
Yeah,
But thank
definitely.
you for
Deb, thank
letting
you.
me
Thank
in,
you.
and yeah, thanks for
Yes,
letting me
and
chat.
Neil said you have a beautiful voice, so we'll end with that one.
Aw, thank you, Neil. So does he. Was that him last night
That
on the
was Neil.
recording?
Oh man, that was
Oh, I
Neil
love
going.
his accent. That was so fabulous. I kept trying. I couldn't hear it really well, so I couldn't tell at one point if he was telling one really long story or several stories. I got confused at one point because I couldn't hear it really well, but I could definitely hear his accent and his voice, and it was quite spectacular, darling. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely. All
Okay,
right,
well,
Deb.
I'm going to say goodnight and I'll see you guys back in chat. I'm going to get on my cell phone here.
All right, take care.
Bye. Love you guys.
Yep, love you too. All right, Deb from Sacramento. Deb from the SAC is what we call it. SAC, Sacramento, Sacktown, Stacktown. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, let me check the messages. As a matter of fact, let me just see if anyone happened to chime back in on that aspect. Let's see. Yeah, Neil has some wild stories, man. It was crazy, right? We all heard him last night. Neil definitely jumped into some stuff. Let me see. Mm. Yeah, and Magneticus, if you're still out there, I got your message, man, and I'll talk to you. I can talk. We can sidebar, and I can talk to you, man, and level with you on that. Um, let me do this here. Yeah, you're right, Magneticus. Oh wait, that isn't Magneticus. That is actually Derek Galloway, I think. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yep. So yeah, great guest tonight. Doty, man, Doty was pretty good, man. It was great interviewing Rick Doty. Yeah, it was great. You know what I mean? He's obviously not that he's at any sort of high level, of importance as far as in the Mount Rushmore of ufology or anything like that. I mean, but he did play a big part in an important time, and was a person who has been scrutinized and featured on different things. So it was definitely a big deal having him. He's really seems like a nice guy, and I really didn't think I really didn't think, I don't know if he should be necessarily blamed for the things that he's blamed for, the things that people like to bring up all the time. I think that people could put that to rest, man. You know what I mean? So if you sold your car, okay, the person looking for a car needs a car. You sell that person your car. That person lets their friend drive the car one day. That friend decides to maybe have a drink that night, and then that car ends up hitting in hurting someone. There's so many things in between you as the person who sold the car and the incident that happened that, you could technically, if you want to be technical, you could say, hey, yeah, you played a part in that. You sold the car to that person, and that person let a friend use it, and that friend had a drink and then ended up hitting somebody. So if you would have never sold that person that car, then there's a good chance that this thing down the line wouldn't have happened. And I think, yeah, love be love. But I think, there's different ways you can look at it. But I think that part of the story, and it's been told so many times in so many different shows and documentaries, I think you probably could lay that part to bed, you know what I mean? And let a person move on with their life. You know what I mean? Not really hold that against them for all eternity. Because I looked at it and I didn't really think, there was, I've heard the stories, I've seen the documentaries, I know, how it played out and what really, what transpired. But at the end of the day, if you really examine it, I don't know that you can blame, I don't know that you can put that much blame on a person for that. Put it like this. If that was if you had looked at that, if that was being put up in front of a court with jury of your peers, I think that, I don't think you can convict on that. I don't think you can convict on that. So if you can't convict on it, at the very least, you can't get a jury of your peers to put in a verdict of guilty with that sort of evidence, right? Then why hold that against a person for their entire life? And that's just my opinion on that, man. It's just kind of weird that, people stand so strong on it. That's the part I'm just like, well, yeah, I mean, the person's life is valuable, that there's value there, obviously, valuable. Every life is valuable, but how do you get to a point where, if anything, I would be blaming the government, you know what I mean? I don't know if I blame the person who's following orders, or I don't know. I don't know. I think people can make mistakes. Sometimes you get tricked into doing stuff like Debster did. She got tricked into throwing eggs. And, as she learned from that, she had her moment where she reflected and got it off her conscience. And she's allowed to move on. She's allowed to move on with her life after that. Yeah, there needs to be a lot more forgiveness going on out there. Yeah, Deb tricked. She did. She got tricked. You didn't hear the story, Lovey Love? You didn't hear the story? I'm just like, when I don't know, there has to be a point where you have to be willing to forgive someone, or look, not necessarily look past, but you can't hold a grudge or hatred for someone your entire life. There's been people who have literally done something to this other person horrific, and the people right around that forgive the person, you know what I mean, for whatever that is worth. So how could you go so hard on a person that's kind of disconnected from the situation, and we're talking about 40 years down the line, and still hold or harbor some sort of anger for that? You know what I mean? Let's move on. Yeah, trick with no treat. Trick with no treat. Yeah, Neil. That's why, when we was gonna have him Doty on, it was like, obviously, we how a lot of people think, and it's gonna be this whole big thing. People are like, oh, why are you gonna have Doty on? Why are you gonna? Do you know what he did? And luckily that didn't happen leading up. But then obviously we get in the chat, and then there's people that want to ask. They kind of want to confront him, and it's like, why? What is it really worth? If the guy brings it up, then we'll talk about it, man. But other than that, what importance does that story, lead to getting us further down the road? You know what I mean? Apparently, Doty's involved in some good things today. Positive things, so let's talk about that. Yeah, holding on, please. Black Dragon, let me see. There's a fine line between following orders and disobeying them for the right reasons. When I was in the military, we were allowed to question unlawful orders. Yeah, I mean, if it's something that you blatantly know is wrong, but we know the government lies all the time, so lying is a normal thing. When would when would a government official ever look at lying as something that was a bad, immoral thing to do? When that's what they do all the time. Lie every day. Lie about a whole bunch of stuff. So these guys simply told a lie. And how does the lie... You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's like, if it was something obvious, like you're going to have to go and do something that you knew that would be blatantly have negative effects on this person, like to that extent, then yeah, morally you question that and be like, hey, well, why am I doing that? Or what would be the reason for us doing that? Or, but if you do this one thing and you can't see the future to know how that one thing is going to affect down the line. Now, if you gave him the option to do it all over, I'm pretty sure he probably would. He did say he was remorseful. So if you said, hey, Doty, go ahead and lie to this dude, what's going to happen is he's going to go crazy and he's eventually going to do something to himself. And yeah, but we need you to go do this. If that was the order, probably don't think he'd have done it, or he would have at least questioned it. But when it's the one thing they're telling you to do, and it's just, hey, go tell this dude, that those top secret drones he saw were actually UFOs. Just, tell him that. And you don't understand what the... because it could have gone a different way. It didn't necessarily have to end the way that it did. if you want to be truthful, there's so many other factors there that it could have just went crazy and still be here with us today. Just had gone crazy from having to go through the experience. It could have ended like that. It could have ended with him just being upset that he was lied to once he found out the truth that he was lied to, and he's just been mad all these years. So it could have ended so many different ways, and there's no way to really be able to sit there and know that this was going to be the end result. So, and I'm just a realist, right? So it's hard for me to, like, if somebody's in the wrong and they understood they were in the wrong and didn't care that they were in the wrong, that'd be a different story. And to me, but when I got introduced to Dodie, just period, years ago, that's how people put it to me. Like, man, this dude just, this guy had, direct effect. Like, this dude committed suicide because of him. And then I'm like, wow, that's wild, that's crazy. And then when I look into it, it doesn't really come across that way. So I'm just hoping we do better on that. And I hope the interview we did kind of maybe changes minds. I did see a lot of positive comments about that show and how people felt about it. So, maybe he turns people around. I think you should give him a chance to do that. You might be stuck on the side of the road in a super, super rainstorm in the middle of nowhere, and this one lonely car to pull up to give you help is Rick Dodie. None other than Rick Dodie, the man himself. So, yeah. All right, so let me see here. What we did earlier, we did the Lon Strickler's phantomandmonsters.com, which I think was cool. We had Bree back on, which was cool, for the paranormal report. I don't know what happened to Coley. She just disappeared. Maybe her internet or had a equipment malfunction. I'm not sure. But yeah, seemed like we lost her at the end. And then once again, Dave Scott came in on a weekend, which shocked me. Yeah, I'm not even sure. So I'm not even sure. Hopefully she's okay. Okay. Maybe. You guys might be right. See. I see you, Christine. I see you. All right, so let me see. Let me just see if I can find something here. Online, offline. And we can look into. We had Neil's crazy, crazy wild story last night. And let me check my Twitter feed. Oh, Dirty Filth follows me now. Nice. Shout out to Dirty Filth. Follow me on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, follow me at Mr. Rob G. Why not? Yeah, I'll bring it up on the screen here. There's a few cool things on here. Let me bring it up here. Oh, looks like the Chinese spy balloon is back in the news. U-2 spy plane captured stunning image of Chinese surveillance balloon. Yeah, nice. Nice. Mm. Let me see. Wow, okay, this is interesting. Let's check this out. All right, so apparently, let me go ahead and bring this off of here. Apparently, this is the far side of the moon, the dark side of the moon. It says the Discover's satellite Earth polychromatic imaging camera, or EPIC, captured the moon transit the Earth. So apparently, the moon. Let's see. Let's see if we can full screen that. Apparently, the moon is passing between the Earth and a spacecraft, and this is the dark side. This is the back side of the moon. I'll pause it. Never seen this before. Looks like this is from February of 2021. The dark side of the moon. So everybody says this crazy stuff on the dark side of the moon. That appears to be the dark side of the moon. There it says it shows two structures, big one bottom right, little structure middle left. Oh, on this one you can't really see, so that's pretty awesome though. Imagery captured in about a 3-hour time span. That is pretty awesome, yo. NASA, let's see, NASA what? NASA will put a radio telescope on the moon alongside Artemis astronauts come 2025. They're going to set up a radio telescope on the far side of the moon in 2025. How do you feel about that? Why? Why would they do that? Okay. Interested. Why to stop sharing though? Groundbreaking discovery. Let me see. A recent revival of space exploration craze has attracted its fair share of criticism. These critics believe several spots on Earth are yet to be explored. For example, it's estimated that a sizable chunk of the sea and ocean, which covers roughly 70% of the Earth's surface, is still unexplored. To this end, several explorers have taken to the oceans to map out the uncharted portions of the sea floor. Interesting. There have been many attempts at exploring the seafloors around the globe. However, little has been achieved due to a lack of sophistication and deep diving equipment and instruments. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, deep sea exploration was primarily speculative. It wasn't until recent years that evidence-based research was carried out in the deep parts of the Earth's oceans. During the industrial revolutions of the Iron Age, ocean explorers mostly limited their sea exploration to determining sea depth at various points of the ocean. They estimated ocean depth by dropping specially designed probes to the bottom of the sea. However, with the invention of innovative technologies like sonar, submersible vessels, and cameras, such expeditions have become relatively more straightforward. I want to see some. That's crazy. The ocean floor is a wild place when you think about it. An analogy will help you understand the crushing damage the water can do at certain depths. Imagine carrying a 20-liter container of water on your head. Pretty straightforward, right? That's about how much force you'll feel when swimming to the bottom of a standard-sized pool. Imagine hundreds of 20-liter containers stacked on each other and placed on your head. Consequently, when a human or some aquatic animals free dive to certain depths, their organs implode from the water pressure and they die. Wow, okay. The exploration of the Mariana Trench of the Indian Ocean that led to this groundbreaking discovery was championed by Alex Jamieson, PhD. This team of scientists sent an autonomous and submersible explorer to one of the deepest points, approximately 14,000 feet below sea level in the trench, intending to discover the kind of creatures that live in such depths. The remotely operated vehicle used for the study carried bait and was outfitted with a camera that could be remotely controlled for a panoramic view. The ROV's camera caught sight of this very first creature within 10 minutes after touchdown on the seafloor. Dr. Jameson and the other team of scientists were monitoring the visual feed from the ROV in the control room and they could see their bait had attracted an eel-like fish. Dr. Jameson, a marine biologist, quickly labeled the fish as the cusk eel. However, he proceeded to mention to his colleagues that they had a new species on the screen. He pointed out the transparent head and tail. True. Another fish that appeared before the ROV's camera was identified by the team as a snailfish. There are species of snailfish that thrive in shallow waters. However, the Mariana snailfish is a peculiar species that can withstand the phenomenal pressure and darkness peculiar to the Marianas Trench. The muscles and bones must have unique designs that help them withstand the pressure. Whoa, the ass fish? Hold on. This is for you, Derek. This must be the kind of fish you like, man. The ass fish. The ass fish is known to be a major predator on the deep ocean floor. Beyond this information, little else is known about them besides the unusual name assigned to this elusive fish. Some other peculiar physiological features make it adapted to the deep sea floor. For example, this particular ass fish, it says ass fish, ASS fish, this particular ass fish has 2 pair of large nostrils. Also, the skin lacks pigmentation, probably because of the prevalent darkness on the seafloor. Let me just stop right there. An ass fish? Jesus. Why would they name it that? That's crazy. But you see, clearly, it says ass fish. There is no embellishing. There is no... It's ASSFISH. I'm sure that spells ass fish. Okay. Well, at least you know you can tell somebody out there in the world that, yeah, have you ever had an ass fish? I'm like, yes, what are you talking about? Like, there is such thing as an ass fish. For sure. Wow. How the ass fish hunts. Are we serious? Since it hunts mainly in the dark, this ass fish is known to have poor eyesight. Consequently, the ass fish probably relies heavily on its nostrils to identify the presence of prey. The most prominent prey on the deep sea floor are crustaceans like crabs and shrimps, and they make up the majority of the ass fish's diet. I don't know how many times I could say ass fish here. It seems like they're using ass fish a lot. In the footage from the ROV, the ass fish ignored the bait fish and hung around until the crustaceans came around to feast before swooping in. Life as an ass fish can't be great, can't be good. Octopuses. And see, if that's not an alien to you, that's what I'd be tripping on, right? Because we have so many things around the world, like so many species of creatures, right, that are weird, just like, whoa, that's not even anything that we've ever seen. What the hell is that? And this is an octopus. So imagine if you've seen something like this get off a spaceship, right? You're like, wow, that's an alien. But we're just used to this thing living in our ocean. Who knows what the hell? We're just used to it. Like I'm not used to actually seeing them like this, but we're kind of just used to these things, right? These weird, and just saying, hey, we live in a diverse world. It's just a lot of weird stuff. But it's like, how do you know that this stuff is really native to Earth? Like, when it comes down to it, how do you know this hasn't been transplanted from some other planet somewhere, and it happens to be aquatic, so it can live in the ocean just like put goldfish in a pond and they grow huge, and it's they shouldn't be there, but they can survive there. And that's when you look at this, it's like, this is crazy. Talking about it's cute. I want to give it a hug if it wants one. What in the world? But that's what I mean, right? What if an alien gets off the thing and looks like this? What if they look like this on other planets? Who's to say that what we're experiencing here is not a mishmash of things from all various planets? And this is like the melting pot. Earth is the melting pot of all these, the best things from every planet. You know what I mean? Like, all put on, all, condensed onto one planet. That'd be, That's just like having a collection of a lot of different things. That's like a zoo almost, right? So that leads into the zoo thing, right? The whole zoo theory. Maybe it, because they're all amazing. It's like every time you see something, it's like, wow, that's crazy, that's amazing. So maybe they're just curating. Maybe they're curating the best living things from each planet and then putting them on Earth. And Earth is like the showcase. Like, if you want to see what the universe has to offer, visit Earth, because they have a little bit of everything. They have something from this galaxy, they have something from this one. And what if we just didn't even know that? That must be crazy. Neil Ward, no, this isn't an ass fish. This isn't an ass fish. This is a Dumbo octopus. And it's obvious why. This is a Dumbo octopus. Now, for you, Neil Warden, because you asked for it, this is an ass fish. This is what we were talking about. This is an ass fish. This is what they look like. So, but ass fishes do exist. Yeah, this is a Dumbo octopus. So octopus are commonly found in the shallow waters of coral reefs. On the contrary, Dumbo octopuses are found in the deep waters and were one of the creatures that showed up on the video feed of Jameson's exploratory team. Like the ass fish, the mackerel used as bait was probably strange to this creature. So the footage saw it hanging around until a juicy crustacean came for a bite of the bait. Oh, okay. Because they're so deep, they don't get to see mackerel and shit like that, so they don't know. Mackerel looks strange to them. Mackerel look like aliens to them, right? Because if they're not used to them at that depth, and this is where they live at that depth, and they never see them until one wanders into its space, and then it's like, wow, what the hell is that? And wow, okay. You look at it like that. Before you start wondering what the origin of the name Dumbo is, it has something to do with the ears of an elephant. A closer examination of the fins and the Dumbo octopus reveals that it does look like ears. Like its other deep-sea counterparts, the Dumbo octopuses have very poor eyesight. To make up for this lapse, they navigate the darkness with the help of sensors that line their tentacles. Let's see. It was easy for the Mariana Trench to appear on the bucket list of explorers like Vescovo. The Mariana Trench has been reported to drop to 35,876 feet at its deepest point. The Mariana Trench is named after an archipelago nearby named the Mariana Islands. The creatures found in this deepest portion of the world's oceans have proven that life can exist in the most inhospitable conditions. Okay, pretty crazy if I do say so myself. Let me see. That was pretty wild. See what else we can find. Something weird. What is the shape of the universe? Okay. I've always wondered that actually. Let's take a look. What is the shape of the universe? The universe may seem shapeless because it is so vast, but it does have a form that we can observe. So, what is it shaped like? There's wide agreement amongst astrophysicists that that the universe is flat. That's because there are several lines of evidence which points towards this flat universe, such as light left over from the Big Bang, the rate of expansion of the universe at different locations, and the way the universe looks from different angles. Expert told Live Science. David Spergel is an astrophysicist and emeritus professor at Princeton University. In 2003 study published by the Astrophysical Journal, Spergel measured irregularities in the cosmic microwave background of CMB and or light left over from the Big Bang. They found the amounts of positive and negative energy in a flat universe are exactly the same and therefore cancel each other out. If the universe had a curvature, one would be higher than the other. A flat universe corresponds to a universe with zero energy. So we can say that the curvature is zero with some uncertainty. Another reason Spergel's positive the universe is flat is its rapid expansion. Because the universe expanded outwards at remarkable speeds, all that stretching rendered it flat, or at least as close as flat as possible. Evidence for the flatness of the universe also shows up in what's known as a criminal. Turn on me real quick. Known as a critical density. At the critical density, a hypothetical universe would be flat and would eventually stop expanding, but only after infinite time, according to the Swinburne University of Technology in Australia. If a hypothetical universe were denser than this, it would be curved like a sphere and eventually collapse in on itself due to its gravity, a possible fate known as I'm not reading that fast. Known as the Big Crunch. But all measurements of real universe suggest it's just below the critical density, meaning the universe is both flat and will expand indefinitely. Interesting. Please check that. No. That shit traveling sideways? Oh, well. That's freaking weird. Let me go back. It's tearing up the lights. Damn. That's why I don't like to fly. Right there. How is that? What in the hell? Yeah, that's pretty freaking crazy. That's pretty freaking crazy. There's no way. Okay, so that's not showing. So you gotta probably didn't even see that. Let me see. Let's look at some Mars photos. Why not? All right, so according to this, 30 stunning pictures of Mars taken by Curiosity and the late Opportunity rover. Let's flip through these. Okay, tribulation. Never can really wrap my mind around the fact that this thing is on another planet taking these pictures. Because everything seems so Earth-like. I mean, that picture before, I've taken a picture like this, you know, in the desert somewhere. Yeah, like really, it's just crazy. The top of the butte. Curiosity's wheels. Like that. A shot combined 6 frames taken by Mars exploration rover was taken on August 14, 2015 at Hender's Point at the northern edge of Marathon Valley. That looks like Earth to me, man. Not saying it's not Mars. It could definitely be Mars, but it just shows how similar Crazy. This gorgeous scenery is taken in late 2016 by Mars Curiosity rover. Visible higher layers of future destinations for the rover's mission. It's the hole they drilled. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So these images taken by Mars Curiosity rover compares the link outcrop of rocks on Mars, which are on the left, with similar rocks seen on Earth on the right. Image of Link obtained by NASA's Curiosity rover. Two different planets right there. Crazy. Mount Sharp's buttes and layers. A shot taken by the Curiosity rover shows buttes and layers on the lower flank of Mount Sharp. This view of Martian rock target merges images from two cameras from Curiosity rovers to provide both color and microscopic detail. Okay. Photos taken by Curiosity rover shows strata exposed along the margins of the valleys in the Pahrump Hills region. Iverson Hill, a view from Curiosity's rover's mass cam shows Iverson Hill, which raises 16 feet above layered outcrop material on lower Mount Sharp. Let's have a little bit of. That's a selfie. Okay. into the steam. Oh. Where's the hollow earthers out there? This is for all the hollow earthers. Exploring the hollow earth hypothesis, fact or fiction? While modern science has firmly established that our planet isn't actually hollow, we respect that some of our readers may hold different beliefs. So with a sense of wonder and open mind, let's embark on a fascinating exploration of this enduring hypothesis that has captured the imaginations of generations. Argata. Edmund Halley believes in multiple spheres inside the earth. Christians and ancient Greeks weren't the only ones to believe in a hollow earth. In the 17th century, Edmund Halley, scientist who discovered Halley's Comet, first proposed the hollow earth theory to explain abnormal compass readings. According to his theory, the earth is a series of spherical shells spinning in alternate directions around the metal core. Huh. I guess we could talk about that. False diary entry blew the Sims hole to smithereens. Sims holes is supported by an alleged journal entry from Admiral Richard E. Byrd of the United States Navy, in which he claimed to have sailed into one. According to the journal entry, he encountered a lush environment inhabited by human race and mammoth-like creatures. However, the validity of this diary's entry is in doubt, as it is dated February 4th, 1947, 20 years after birds fly over the North Pole. That is assuming the bird actually reached the North Pole. Many suspected he falsified his investigation records. Lost city of Agartha. It is also speculated that Hitler and the Nazis were searching for Agartha, the legendary city thought to be inside Hollow Earth. This theory is supposedly confirmed by a letter from Karl Unger, a German U-boat navigator, who claimed that U-209 had successfully made it to Agathar and had no plans to return. Okay. Nazi escape plan in the center of the earth. Supposedly, the Nazis were searching for Agartha as a potential escape plan for Hitler, and many believe that Hitler did not die, but escaped into an underground world. There is, of course, no evidence to prove this. However, the most popular diagram of Agartha was drawn by a German scientist in 1985. The Kola super deep borehole is less impressive than you think. The most logical way to put the hollow Earth theory to rest would be to simply go out there and find out. However, there is nothing simple about that idea. The aforementioned Kola super deep borehole is, made it less than a third of the way around the Earth's crust. More recent attempts to reach mantle level have involved drilling through the ocean floor, where the crust is much thinner. However, that is a complicated and expensive task undertaking, and so far attempts have failed. In any endeavor, you would likely get any government funded expeditions with skepticism. Every time I see that, they usually put that picture on like a spammy ad or something like that. They show you this picture and put some sensational headline on it. After Thompson announced that he had received funding and would begin his trip on May 24, 2003, things immediately went awry. However, in December of 2002, he pulled his book from the shelves, and shortly afterward, he disappeared and was never heard from again. I really don't see how... Yeah, I don't see it. No, not that one. Despite the hidden world beneath our feet, evidence has consistently shown that our planet's core is not the hollow realm we once envisioned by some. Though a series of compelling narratives and historical accounts we've unraveled the mysteries, challenges, and ultimate disappointments. Okay. Ross Coulthart, an investigative journalist, and oh, wait a minute, that might not be. Is it showing up? Okay, good. Ross Coulthard, an investigative journalist and novelist, has made a startling allegation involving a massive unidentified flying object, or UFO. He contends that this UFO is so large that it cannot be moved. He noted that a purpose-made monument has been placed over it in a nation other than the United States. The claim made by Coulthard raises concerns regarding the dimensions, composition, and ramifications of this enigmatic object's public secrecy. That's compelling. I did not hear. It said here he noted that a purpose-made monument. I don't remember him saying that. I do remember him saying the first part. So, well, if he did say the second part, then great. So, what contractor is it? Who built the building? Is it a contractor? Likely, I guess, probably. Coulthard's admission sparks interest in the actual size of the concealed UFO. According to the author, the item must be concealed since its enormous size makes transportation impossible. However, the precise site is still unknown. One is left to wonder about the importance and ramifications of owning an item so big that its movement becomes impossible. Blah, blah, blah. Just talk to Dodie about something like this. Things that David Grush came across while participating in government programs first made him skeptical, but when top intelligence personnel opened out to him, he began to see things more clearly. Grush emphasized the presence of a sophisticated disinformation operation meant to deceive the American people and deemed it very unethical and immoral. He also revealed that occasionally dead people are found while recovering crashed or landed automobiles. Dead people? Or what are we talking about? He says by Roth Coulthard and David Grush create significant doubts about the presence of an immobile, enormous UFO concealed under a significant landmark. If confirmed, this information might change how we think about alien occurrences. It could also alter how much the government participates in investigation and cover-up. It's clear that further research and inquiry into the nature of this concealed item are necessary, since it has the potential to fundamentally alter the way we understand and our role in the universe. Grush confirmed the non-human biologics were collected from the crashes of these UAPs and that people have been injured by UAP technology. Regarding if anybody has been murdered by these UAPs, Grush responded, quote, "I have to be careful answering that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities." However, the Pentagon has since denied his claims. We remember. Pretty close. Ex-Navy commander testifies in response to the aggressive statement. The Defense Department asserted that they do not have, quote, any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. Alongside Gresh, David Fravor, a former Navy commander, testified in front of the House Committee on Oversight on July 26th, approximately 100 miles off San Diego's coast. Fravor detailed his personal experience with seeing a UAP in November 2004. Fravor and his 3 colleagues allegedly witnessed the white water over the ocean and a white projectile resembling a tic-tac moving quickly over the water. The tic-tac shaped object didn't possess rotors or wings and lacked thermal exhaust. The hell is this? Continuing the story, Fravor said when he began moving his plane closer to the object responded and got closer to it. The strange object rapidly accelerated and disappeared right in front of our aircraft when they were about a half mile apart. Then the mysterious white ocean water also vanished. Afterwards, Fravor and his team were informed by an air controller that the object had popped over radar again about 60 miles east. Fravor said the UAP did not operate like any known aerodynamic principles. It's a wild picture. I've never seen that one. Skip that one. Okay. My mouse ain't working. Was it for that? Let's quick. Let's see. Do this real quick here. I want you to surprise me today.
Yeah, no, I'll bring you up to speed. Sure. So I'm a dad of 5. That's my number one role, dad and husband. But I was a producer and I owned a film production company in California for about 15 years. And then sold that, moved to Hawaii, and had some new little babies, and decided to move back to the mainland for an education for them, and to move off of the Big Island, which was erupting and is even erupting even more now. And so brought us to Oregon, where I restarted my production company. And so in 2019, I had a pretty big UFO sighting that I witnessed with my 9 family members all at once. It was kind of an undeniable thing that ended up shifting my career back into film. And having a family that is all PhDs and scientists and ex-military, it sent me kind of down the research rabbit hole into this, investigating UFO. And
so you have a background in psychology, right?
Yeah, I do. I've got a degree in film and psychology. And so this kind of united them. It
Nice.
did in a lot of ways. So that brings me kind of to where I am today, where I started independent research company and fully financed it myself. So we stay true to our goal, which is to just find out whatever we can about the phenomenon and present it in a real, simple way, a transparent way that we show all of our work, all of our data, and put it into a few free documentaries and put it into a few PowerPoint presentations that we can hopefully put into the right hands and have it presented to Congress.
Nice. I know I heard you mention before, I was watching, I forget what show you were on, but I know you were talking about starting this. So had you collected any data, or what generally were you doing out there?
So after my sighting with my family in 2019, I was really just kind of lost, to be honest. And I found this community, on YouTube, helped me kind of dig into it a little bit. It was really helpful. And not to stray too far off of your question here, but that's kind of initially what drew me in. And so are you asking if the research portion happened naturally, or I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I feel, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel that because I definitely looked into your sighting and I know the story behind it and I would love for you to tell it. But I feel like that drove you maybe to wanting to take this step to do something to benefit this disclosure movement.
Definitely. Initially, I started buying, tools here and there, IR cameras and Gen 3 night vision and things like that, so I could see, again, what I'd experienced. Absolutely, that sighting was impactful to me in a big way, and so I did take it upon myself just to find out more for myself because it was affecting family members, and not all necessarily in a positive way. So I was very motivated in that sense. And once I realized via YouTube and friends that the work I was doing should be shared because I was getting good data and great video and things like that. And so I started sharing it and realized that I needed to take it a step further. And so I invested in a mobile lab and filled it with tools and have started taking it to hotspots to find my own information. And then once I find that, I kind of corroborate it amongst my peer group, which is expanding now to some incredible organizations, including members of SCU, the Scientific Coalition for the Study of UAP. And so other members and people in the science community and the engineering community that have helped me come up with devices to put in there that have never been seen before, in fact. So, excuse me. So, yeah, it has snowballed into something that I definitely never foresaw in my career. But I find that all the little skills that I picked up in my life have brought me to where I am. So I haven't put up too many, fights when things have come up in my mind. I'm like, should I do this? I just should. Like I've said yes to everything.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I feel the same way. I mean, I heard your story, and I know that you mentioned that you initially really weren't even into the subject until you had your experience, and that kind of is what sparked everything for you. I did want to know, prior to that, were you a believer in UFOs? Like, did you believe they existed, or where were you at before that? Your sighting?
I had seen Close Encounters and E.T., and I'm a Star Wars fan, but in no way was it a reality. My parents gave me a great telescope as a kid, and we had a flat roof growing up in New York. And so I would get up on our roof with that telescope and just spend endless hours up there. And there was nothing I ever saw. Now, given in the 80s, there weren't as many satellites and things to confuse people and myself, but I never saw anything I couldn't explain. So, really, honestly, I never considered it a reality. So when our family had this experience, it was really, really undeniable. It was either something that was just out of the box military or something else, and I captured a lot of photos of it, and we had a lot of eyes on it. And, once we decided to make it public and to send it to the right people, to make sure it wasn't anything that was ours, we decided to go public, once everywhere said this is real UFO.
Yeah, I did see the pictures too, and they're pretty clear. What I'll do is, I don't know if you have the ability. I think you can share from your end if you have them, but if not, I can put them in post. Either way.
Yeah, we'll put them in post.
Okay.
Absolutely. I have some great
Okay.
images that I'd love to share.
Yeah, real clear Tic Tac, pretty much undeniable daytime sighting.
Yeah.
Very similar to mine's. I have an undeniable, and actually, I'm doing a video on it. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, I'd love to
Yeah,
hear about it.
I think you saw the actual raw video,
Okay.
but I actually came across some new information that kind of really solidifies. Mick West chimed in and said, "Oh, it's birds." No,
Right.
we actually have corroborating evidence at this point that clearly shows not birds.
And it's so tough, isn't it? It's so tough to put your sighting out there. I've
Yeah.
never had. I did have some people that came out of the woodwork and tried to kind of help me in some other options of what it could be. But I didn't consider, experimental holographic military experiments over a busy city really a plausible explanation,
No.
which was one. But you notice that people really have to reach. They're reaching.
Yes.
And so I find it very frustrating, that people say balloons and birds for things that, or, banners being towed by planes, or
Oh,
there's
yes.
so many mundane explanations that are out there that are frustrating, because the thing is, honestly, if you were to look at my photographs without the story, you could easily be like, that's nothing. And I'd be fine with that because you haven't gotten the story, right? And
Right.
the unfortunate part, and I feel like it separates a skeptic from a debunker, let's say. A skeptic is open to any interpretation, even if it's UFO. A debunker refuses to accept UFO and will just do anything to come up with an explanation. And they refuse the witness account often, which is incredibly frustrating, and you need it. You need the witness account. It's incredibly important.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like the witness takes quite a bit of abuse out there. And it's not fair. It's not fair. Really. It's so hard to come out with this stuff. And then to be debunked, I think it is brutal.
What I did was, the sighting took place August 28th. It was pretty much, to me, undeniable. I called a few people immediately and told them what I saw. Still have the video. I know you have your old iPhone with your video.
Mhm.
I kept same camera, raw video on my phone as well.
I'm using it as my camera right now, actually.
Now, I didn't post it or really think about reaching out. It took like a month. I sat on the video and I just didn't know what to do. I was at the point to where, okay, maybe I can go ahead and report this to MUFON. Then I got to their terms and conditions and how they take ownership. So I wasn't really.
They take ownership of the data, not your video.
Okay. And I believe I heard you say that in the video. So I wanted to get that clarified.
Yeah.
Because I still want to report the case to have it reported.
Yeah.
Just, okay, well, that's good. So thing is that, without the, and literally in the video, there's 47 objects, and within about a minute, they all disappear. Clear blue sky, sun, high noon, nothing to obstruct any view. And I feel like they went through, like you showed, a portal with your Tic Tac. And it almost seemed like that's what happened. They went through a portal. And then right after they disappeared, there were 3 people standing there. Everybody saw that it disappeared. And then right after that, I stopped recording. And right in the spot where they disappeared, there was what appeared to me, it looked like a military jet, but it made no sound. And it was briefly there for 1 second, and kind of just disappeared. So it was very similar to what you were saying. Yeah.
Interesting.
Very
Well,
similar.
I mean, when I saw your data, it reminded me of A Tear in the Sky, the film by Carolyn Corey.
Yes, sir.
Where she had just on, her UFO DAP system, it recorded which is an automated robot cam, basically, that captures stuff in the sky in multiple spectrums. It captured, I think they said 60 some objects
Right.
coming through, and then they drop down to the ground. That blows my mind. It's the
so
same sort of
funny
thing.
you say that, because I literally, maybe a week ago, just watched the YouTube video for the UPX findings that they released back in June.
Yeah.
And they had a segment where they were showing what they were calling a portal, and then a bunch of little dots inside of it that they said were individual items. And that's the same thing I thought when I saw that. When I saw that, I said, I'm sure that that's what that was. I'm sure it's the same thing.
And I forget where in the world was yours, and was it over land or sea?
It's right over Bakersfield, California, if you're familiar with Southern California.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. So that's not far off so they were right there in the Channel Islands, right? So
yes, exactly. It's 100 I think it's about 120 miles from here, if you straight through to Catalina Island. So
my sighting was 1,000 miles from there, and it happened 10 days before the Omaha.
Yeah, I did hear you say that as well. So that's pretty peculiar. I mean, what you have in that picture, and once again, we're going to show it for sure.
Right.
Definitely shows a tic tac. I mean, it's definitely a tic tac.
And it's a shame that I don't have those. I should have sent. I didn't know you wanted to cover my sighting.
No, that's
to be
okay.
honest. I should have sent them first, because I have them all numbered, and I often I'm happy to go through each frame by frame. But the final frame, unfortunately, the 11th frame, which was after the portal had closed and the Tic Tac had moved, they were shooting off south, there were more objects than just the disc and the Tic Tac that I initially witnessed. There was a third object. And so my guess is that, when that portal is open, I did photograph something either coming or going through it. And we can assume perhaps that I photographed this object coming out, because there were 3 when they left. And that was actually a pyramid shaped object. And it came out kind of in a dark gray in color, the same color as the disc.
The third object was actually pyramid shaped?
Pyramid, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what the photo showed. And I had to do some enhancement to bring it out. And the frustrating thing, again, I'm not saying that this is definitely what took place. It's kind of like what we witnessed, and it seems to fit the series of events. But even with all my experience, I still don't know, and that's what's so frustrating. Like you don't know, right? And it's part of the search, and like that frustrating not knowing is what triggered me to like do everything I'm doing now, including the news and being involved in this topic. It's a hard topic to get into, but again, without those photos, you and I would never have met, honestly.
Right. I got that feeling. Definitely. No. And I was just like I was telling my friend of the show here, Mateo, which we'll have come in a moment here.
Yeah.
I told him that these sightings, like you have a situation where, just like I saw your earlier interviews where you were really, it was really hard for you to kind of emotionally for you to talk about your incident. And a lot of it was really because you had just the photos and your memory, and you have the debunkers that say, well, that's not enough. And so it kind of puts you in a situation where you feel like, okay, well, why did I even come out and say anything? And I think that's kind of what the problem is for a lot of potential people who don't get the courage or get discouraged before they actually come out and say what they saw, even if it was something they only saw for a moment. Every sighting counts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the thing is, I find it's a little sad, that our community eats itself like that. We should be more welcoming, because it's hard to talk about. And whether or not you have photographs, you should be able to talk about it. Now, me coming into it, I don't think I would have talked about it at all if I didn't have those photos, and the day of that sighting, we took them home and laid them out on the table in iPad form and on the computer and really went over them. And like I said, 2 military witnesses in the family, 2 PhDs, and then the rest of us with just open minds. We sat around and we really couldn't figure it out. And so that was the moment that we decided that I had to kind of report it. And so I reported to MUFON, and I think I reported it to New Fork as well.
Yeah, no, you did. I found your report actually. Yeah.
Yeah. But really, once the reports came back, it actually took, frustratingly, a few months. Initially, I didn't have a high opinion of MUFON because I was like, what's up, with my data. But finally, I realize now that, they only have a certain amount of time, and they took as long as they could. And with this case, because it was a tough one to close. And so they finally came back with it being UAP, part of the 5%, the cases that come back as true UAP.
Wow.
And that was the moment that I personally was like, okay, I can talk about it. Because, I didn't want to be the guy that has photos of a secret military operation or something, even if it was over Seattle, Washington, I wouldn't be talking about it, if it was our tech. But once I realized it was something else, then, that really launched me down this rabbit hole.
So what is I know I know you said during the sighting, your wife was not there,
right?
But one of your kids was there.
So all of my kids except for my second oldest.
Oh, okay.
So all 4 of my kids, 2 of my wife's, or I'm sorry, 2 of my sisters. No, 3 of my sisters were there. So yeah, it added up to 9 people, and so both my sister and her husband are both ex-military, and then my mother and father are both PhD'd. And initially it wasn't me that saw this. It was my mother, in fact, that heard something. And when she looked up, she saw a disc just sitting there in the sky. And that was just the beginning of what took place. But
so I did see as well that you were going to do a documentary, well, not really necessarily documentary, but you were saying that you wanted to get them on film discussing what they remember from the sighting. Mm-hmm. Did you do that?
I did.
Okay.
I actually ended up getting all my family members to do it.
Oh, nice. Is that out yet?
I don't really. So if I was to do a documentary on my sighting, I would include it. But at this point, I don't have anyone's permission. Right.
Okay.
And so when I did it, I was just explaining, I just want this to be part of our family history.
Yeah.
Because I've always made videos my whole young life. So this isn't out of the ordinary for me to do, except I've used less makeup and no costumes this time. So, yeah, they were fine doing it. But, my dad was okay with me talking about it publicly, and he passed away this past summer. So I know at some point I can include his story. My mom's still around. She's not okay with it, being out there publicly. So I've kept her, and her story is awesome. And she's okay with me telling it, but she doesn't want her film, out there at this point. So.
Do you feel comfortable at least just giving us a gist of what she may have said?
Well, sure. Her story is part of the story that I tell publicly. Mm-hmm. And, initially that she described the sound that she heard really well. And she describes the action of the Tic Tac around the saucer really well. She's just got a great way of speaking. We're British. moved to America when I was very young. So, very descriptive in every way. And my mom ended up being a teacher. So again,
Right.
she's a great person to have been a witness to this. She remembers every detail still, and she's 86.
Wow.
So just incredible. Her description of the sound. And so my assumption is that this potentially is the sound that the portal made when it opened or closed. And her description of that was the sound of an uncoiling of saran wrap and like stretching, but like more of the elastic kind of like, like sound,
Right.
but and then add a metallic element to that.
Ooh.
So like a metallic stretching sound.
Yeah.
It's really hard to explain, but I did hear
Sound like a portal opened up. Yeah.
Yeah, but on a massive scale, like as if it was like on a scale of thunder,
Wow. Okay.
which is bizarre because I didn't hear it initially, but my dad and mom did. None of the family members down by the ocean heard it, but I did the second time that it happened, because the sound happened again when that portal opened, and that's kind of why my description is a little different, because it didn't sound at all like a boom. Like there was no way it was a sonic boom or thunder. It wasn't a clear day, but it was in no way weather. There was no weather. But my description is definitely more of a stretching, like more like a creak. I mean, how like if a door or bending wood creaks, if you were to
Yes,
bend,
sir.
kind of sounded like that to me.
That's
At the
strange.
same time as this beam came out of the Tic Tac and this portal opened. And I'll give you guys the full story, including when I heard all of that. But and then my mother gave a great description of how the Tic Tac seemed to move around the disc. And so if this was the disc, her description was that the Tic Tac kind of always was pointing at it the same way, but like a hummingbird, like it would be here and then it would suddenly be here, and it would be here, and then it would be over here. And it was more of a sparkle at this point. We didn't know that it was a Tic Tac until we saw the photographs. We never saw until it stopped, because it did look like a white cigar when it stopped. But initially, when it was up close and it was moving rapidly around the saucer-shaped object, it appeared more of a sparkle, because I did see it myself.
Now, question I have, because like I said, I definitely know about this story.
Mm-hmm.
What I was unclear on is, did the UAP did it simply go off into the distance until you couldn't see it, or did it disappear, or what happened there? I think you said you saw it until it went off until you couldn't see it anymore.
That's correct. It moved south the same way the objects had been moving, which was kind of like I would see it and then it would be here and then it would be here. It wasn't like ever flying. I can't say that I ever saw it flying, but what I would see was it was potentially moving so quickly that my eye wasn't picking it up. My camera definitely wasn't picking it up. There were some points in some of my photos that there was no objects in it, and then the next photo they'd all be again.
Wow.
So the way it moved was odd, but it moved off south the same way it had before the portal opened up. A very strange way of moving, and this was another thing that really bends my brain, was how it moved. Like even when it was up close, I never saw the saucer flying. It was just static. And then it was, even though I was looking right at it, it would just be gone. And then it would be there, like way off in the distance.
Wow.
And I'm looking at it. And then my dad's over my shoulder going, "Oh, look down there." And I look down there and it's there. And I look back and it's not there. It's there. And I'm like,
so it was blinking out as it went across the sky. So it wasn't flying. It just was appearing in different locations.
Essentially,
yeah.
That is how I interpreted what I witnessed. Yeah.
Wow.
I never saw it moving across the sky.
Yeah. So yes, that's pretty crazy. Now, I know you talked also about the fact that you thought or you felt like for some reason your family members weren't able to recall the sighting initially, or how did that play out?
This
is the good part.
And I also kind of had a strange kind of mental dumbing down, if you will, is kind of the way it felt. Like when we tried initially, it's easier now that I talk about it, but initially, before any of us were talking about it, it was like really hard to recall or to get started on it. Things would distract us off of it. Some of my photographs after I walked away, just back to the parking lot, I have a photograph of a bush, I have a photograph of the hub of my truck, the tire hub. I have no reason. I don't remember taking those. I have no reason to take those. It wasn't accidental. Excuse me. So, yeah. And so the reason that I wanted to videotape my family members was because of this kind of weird psychological phenomenon that, we all kind of had, which was just this mental block to recall it. And to be honest, none of my family members like talking about the minute and a half that portal was open. It was a 2.5 minute, series of photos from the first to the last. And there was a minute and a half of, that portal being open, static, not moving at all in the sky. And none of us like talking about that in particular, just because it's just weird, just a weird thing. And so.
All right, we'll stop the Tim video right there. It's episode 4. For anybody who wants to go back and watch, appreciate you getting some taquito time. You don't realize, how, needed to eat. I haven't eaten since way earlier. So, yeah, okay. Tim Senor interview. This was awesome. This is episode number 4, the 4th show ever did on this channel. I think we're in episode 45 right now. So in between this episode and the last one we did, there's been a lot of great ones. There's a Lou Jimenez one. I recommend that you guys watch it. It's a good watch. If you know Lou Jimenez's perspective on the phenomenon. Lou Jimenez from UCR, Unidentified Celebrity Review, and now Lou Reviews. This is right before he started Lou Reviews. I kind of feel like maybe he got some inspiration to do that show right after we did this interview, because we had a really great conversation, and he was really hard on the skeptic side. I was really hard on the, hey, we have proof side, and he was really hard on the show me side, I need to see it side. So it was pretty interesting. Matter of fact, maybe I'll play a few seconds of that just to kind of wet your whistle. It was actually pretty good, man. He's a cool dude, Let me see. And play a few minutes of that, and then get the video. Yes, on the Social Dig channel. Let's see. I think I set them lives. It's way back here. It is. Can't play. Yeah, there's a part that I got copyright strike. People don't know Lou's an actor, man. And in the beginning of the interview, I played part of his. Yeah, let me do this. So to pick a random spot in here, we kind of get into the good stuff.
My best friend invited me. I went with him. and around 8:30, we noticed that there was this girl, where I lived. There were neighborhoods that lived on houses with 2-3 acres worth of property. So she was literally standing in a field just looking up, and we're like, oh, that's kind of weird. So we walked over. We're like, hey, what are you looking at? And she's like, hey, I'm looking at this thing in the sky. And so we look up, and it's like a green ball, and it's really weird. And I'm looking at it, I was like, man, that's strange. And I kind of just started going like through my mind, okay, it's not a helicopter, it's not an airplane, it's not a jet, it's not. And I've seen these things even as a 13-year-old. I used to go to the air show every year with my parents, so I was very familiar with aircraft. Not, I wasn't an expert at 13, but it just didn't look like anything I'd seen. And I was like, well, blimp, and it did kind of look like a blimp, and I was waiting for it to turn so I could see like the Goodyear or something on it, or some sort of writing, because the Miami Dolphin Stadium was only 10 or 15 miles away from where we were. So seeing a blimp wasn't something
unusual. Yeah.
And so my memory of it is like it was bigger, and when it got bigger, it looked like a blimp, and I was just waiting for it to turn, and it never turned. And then the next thing I remember, it's hovering above the field, and it's about the size of 2 buses stacked on top of one another. It looks, the way I remember it is, it looked very similar to the Gulf Breeze UFO. If you've ever seen pictures of that story, turned out that story is probably not true. But it did remind me of that craft, in that it had a bigger bowl on the bottom and a smaller bowl on the top. That kind of like if you take 2 bowls and you meet them at the lips, that's kind of what it looked like a lemon. Somebody said a lemon. I'm like, that's exactly what it looked like. Kind of like a lemon, but it had hard edges. And I was fucking shocked. Like, it was crazy. It was really, really weird. And the thing I remember is all of the adults at the party started coming over, and they were also confused by what they were seeing. So those are the things I remember. And then I wanted to get a better look at it, and so I started running toward it. And the craft was over literally a cow field. Like it was a cow field. And that field had a dirt road, and then that dirt road had a bunch of pine trees that lined it. And so as you're running toward the field, whatever it was going behind the trees. So it was like I was running closer to it, and the trees were going in front of it like this. And then by the 3rd or 4th tree, I was expecting it to come out the other side, and it was gone. And that's what I remember. With that said, it's a 30-year-old memory.
Okay.
30-year-old memory.
And so I was going to ask you, UFO Blueprint said what year ballpark is, but
93. It was 1993. Okay. It was, I believe, April or June of 1993. And I say that because we just moved into, my mom and my stepdad had just gotten married. So they had bought a new house. And so we had just moved into that new house. And it was also the same year that the Florida Marlins franchise had begun. The exact same, that summer. That. It was that summer. So that's the summer it happened. I've looked, there's a really great database. I've looked in the database for that time period of anything weird. I can't remember I've got it somewhere bookmarked, but it's a really cool database. But after really thinking about it and really sort of sitting on it and kind of just contemplating the statistical mathematical odds of it, what is mathematically more likely for that thing that I saw to be? Alien visitors, flying a craft, or a plasma ball? Which is a very real thing, and that's a very real phenomenon. I'm going to lean toward plasma ball because statistically it's more likely to be that. And I also can't rely on a 30-year-old memory. It's you have to understand the way the human mind works is every time you remember something, you're not accessing the memory. Your brain is accessing the last time you remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy that goes on for 30 years.
Right.
Every day I think about it at least once.
And it might
so
change
30 years. Bit. Not might. It definitely changed.
Yeah.
It definitely changed. So that's my fear with expressing that. It's not that I don't think it didn't happen. It's not that I don't think what I saw was unusual or weird, because it was. But to say, well, that's alien, I'm not going to take that leap.
All right, and we're going to stop that there. I really highly recommend that you guys go and watch. This is a great episode. Episode 11, The State of Ufology with Luis Jimenez. Really great interview. I actually, start out, we don't even talk about UFOs initially. Talk about he's an actor. He's a comedian, actually. He's a pretty funny dude, too. You'll see. If you watch the beginning, you'll see the clips that I loaded, and he was in a few notable movies. He was in a movie with Tom Hanks. He's an extra, but he's still in the movie. But he was more like a lead, like a co-lead in the other movie that we showed there, that I played the trailer for. So it was a lot of stuff that people really didn't know about Lou. I wanted to show the human side of Lou, the side, everybody focused on he was for ufology, then he flipped, he went through that stuff, and then he cussed everybody out and flipped and went to the other side. But, we started out with humanizing him because he's actually a genuine cool dude. Just nowadays he calls a lot of people out, man, for different reasons. I don't agree with all of the things that he says. I'll say that. I don't agree with all the people that he calls out, but there are a handful of actual grifters that he does call out, and I don't have any problem with that at all. But, we dance around, we get into the dance. Right here, he was just speaking about his sighting. Then he goes into why he can't depend on the memory of it, to validate what he saw. I kind of call him out on that, though. You know what I mean? And we get into a really good discussion. So I recommend that you guys go and watch this one, episode number 11. Like the Tim interviews, episode number 4, which is a great interview as well. This is very early in the channel. You can tell the graphics and all that stuff. We, barely were put together. So very early on, but some hard-hitting stuff, man. Some really hard-hitting stuff. Good questions asked. And, he kind of, it's a real passionate, that's what I'll use, a very passionate discussion. And I think we went for I think the show went for maybe 3 hours this episode. I want to say it did. Yeah, you can see it on the screen, 3 hours and 1 minute. So, pretty engaging though. So if you've ever watched the UCR in the past, you were a fan of that show at some point in time, or maybe you're on the other side, skeptic side, and you like Lou reviews currently. I tune in every once in a while, Sometimes I found that prior to this interview, which is why I asked, had him come on, is he was taking a lot of really hard skeptic stances, like not even being agreeable or, with the open mind to kind of, see through what might have been actually going on. But, and it may have nothing to do with this interview, but I have a feeling that it did. But now he has a softer approach to it. I've seen him be a lot more open-minded to the conversation, Although he's still on the skeptical side, there's no doubt about that. But I think this interview was kind of the beginning of that. So I would recommend, if you guys haven't seen this interview, when you get the time, definitely go and check it out. Episode number 11 for sure. Really, you won't regret this one. And yeah, with that being said, I'm getting sick. They say, what you say? Something about Vegas. What you do in Vegas stays in Vegas, or something like that, right? Whatever that saying is. Well, my girl just came back from Vegas and she brought back a cold to me. So it doesn't stay in Vegas. It actually travels with you. So with that being said, let me go ahead and rest up. Let me get my throat right. I got to do the show for Dave on Tuesday. And hopefully it just don't turn into this full-blown sickness. We still got to get to the weekend and do the weekend show. So yeah. But I'm going to, either way it goes, whether it turns into something, I'm still going to do the show. So I'll be there, period. You know what I mean? So, but I'm going to go ahead and gargle some tea for the next couple days. It's just a little scratchy right now, where you have to keep clearing your throat, and it's just that right now. It hasn't really metamorphosized into the full-blown thing, and I'm just hoping it doesn't. So if I take care of it right now, maybe I'll, head it off. Hopefully, here's the hoping. But with that being said, please go check this interview out. You will love this interview. When you, tomorrow or whatever time you opens up for you and you have some time, just kind of skim through it. You maybe play it at double speed or quarter speed, whatever. And I think you will appreciate this interview. And also the Tim Senor interview if you haven't seen it. So with that being said, let me go ahead and wrap this thing up. I can go cater and take care of myself. Want to thank everybody for coming. There's a lot of chats in here, man. I'm not going to be able to go back. I'm definitely going to see the people that are here now. Black Dragon, appreciate you. Susie B, thank you for coming. Dogman UK, oh yeah, thanks for coming. Because he's a skeptical researcher, and I love that. Keep being skeptical. Jessica S, thanks for coming. Maggie M10, thanks for coming. If you're still here, let me see, going back. Christine, I know you left. I saw you leave. Thanks for coming. Derek Galloway, thanks for coming. Brown Dwarf, I appreciate you for coming. Go back a little bit here. People that still might be here right now, it's a handful. And any lurkers, while I'm doing that, if you haven't subscribed, if you just came by and just kind of were watching from the background, you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing and coming back. Conversations to be back in the mix next week, and hopefully I'm feeling better, which I should be. But we'll get it going, man. We'll get it going. Okay, Susie B, of course, Susie B. Thanks for coming. Sovereign, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming, everybody who came. I really appreciate you guys. I think we pretty much got it. All right. Yeah, so crazy week. Real, awesome weekend though. 2 powerhouse shows back to back after hours. I think, I felt good about them. I felt they were pretty good episodes. So, and also a couple great call-in shows. And like I said, these things will keep going. We're gonna, when it's late like that, I want to try to get some of our speakers to come over. So I'm going to figure that out, because I want, like, maybe if we had a guest and we did well, maybe we bring the guest in to talk at least for a little bit. So we're going to look into that. And let me go ahead and bring up my graphic, because we do it every show. You guys already know about this one here. We do this for the positive progression of humanity here at the Social Dig. It has to move the needle, or else we're not involved in it. We can't do it. We can't touch it. It has to be, you know, something that helps the people and kind of moves this conversation forward, or else it's not even worth doing it. So we kind of kicked back today. Didn't get it. We talked earlier, didn't get any real talk, but that's okay, because we'll be back. We'll see you next week. My name is Mr. Rob G. This is the Social Dig. You guys, thanks for coming. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great week as well. See you on Halloween at Space Out Radio. Take care, guys.